The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets overhead, casting a sterile pallor over the chaos of the ER waiting room. I clutched my side, blood seeping through my fingers from the jagged gash where I'd wiped out on my motorcycle. Stupid stunt, chasing adrenaline to drown out the emptiness gnawing at my chest since Dad's funeral last week. Faggot like you probably deserved it. The doctor snarled loud enough for the whole damn room to hear, his voice slicing through the murmurs like a scalpel, eyes raking over me with undisguised contempt as he yanked back the curtain. In that split second, the world narrowed to his sneering face and the collective gasp of strangers, their stares pinning me like butterflies to a board, my secret ripped open raw and bleeding in a place where I was supposed to be safe. My name's Samuel Hayes, 32 years old, heir to Hayes Biotech, a sprawling empire of gene therapies and cutting-edge labs that my father built from a garage in Silicon Valley to a Fortune 500 beast headquartered in downtown Seattle. Dad, God rest his stubborn soul, had clawed his way up from nothing, a self-made immigrant from Ireland who preached grit and loyalty like gospel. He died in his sleep last month, heart giving out after decades of chain-smoking and boardroom battles, leaving me the keys to the kingdom and a mountain of grief I couldn't outrun. That's why I'd been tearing up the back roads of the Cascades on my vintage Harley, wind whipping away the tears until a deer bolted across the asphalt and sent me skidding into a ditch. By the time the ambulance hauled me into Harborview Medical Center, the pain in my ribs was nothing compared to the fresh hell of that doctor's words hanging in the air. Dr. Elias Grant, that's what his badge said, all crisp white coat and smug authority. Didn't even bother lowering his voice as he probed the wound with gloved fingers that felt more like accusations. What? Couldn't keep it in your pants on that joyride? Or was it some lover's quarrel gone wrong? He chuckled, a wet, phlegmy sound that echoed off the linoleum, drawing nods from a couple of burly orderlies nearby and a horrified whisper from the woman in the next bed, her kid burying his face in her lap. I locked eyes with a nurse across the way, tall guy, maybe late 20s, with messy dark hair and a jaw that could have been chiseled from the same granite as the Olympics. He froze mid-chart, his green eyes flashing with something fierce, but he didn't move. Not yet. Heat flooded my face, not from the fever spiking under my skin, but from the shame twisting like barbed wire in my gut. I'd spent years building walls around who I was, closeted even to my own reflection, dating women in public to keep the shareholders happy, burying the ache for something real deeper than Dad's grave. Excuse me, I managed, voice hoarse, but Grant just leaned in closer, breath sour with coffee and malice. You heard me, Hayes. Word gets around, big shot like you, slumming it with your preferences. Makes me wonder if this is self-inflicted drama for attention. The curtain rustled again, and there he was, that nurse, Matthew, his badge red, pushing through with a fresh four-bag, his presence like a cool draft cutting the stifling heat. Dr. Grant, he said, tone even but edged like a blade. Patient's vitals are dropping. We need to stitch this now. Grant waved him off like swatting a fly. Handle it, then. And keep your rainbow agenda out of my or. The room fell deathly quiet, save for the beep of monitors and my ragged breaths. Matthew's hand brushed mine as he prepped the site. Steady, warm, a lifeline in the storm, and for the first time that night, I didn't feel utterly alone. They wheeled me to a private room after that, courtesy of my last name and the black Amex I flashed like a shield. Stitches pulled tight across my ribs, morphine dulling the edges but not the echo of Grant's voice looping in my head. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the flecks like stars in a polluted sky, wondering if this was the universe's cruel joke. inherit the world, lose your father, and get outed by a bigot in scrubs. My phone buzzed on the side table. Texts from my assistant, Elena, piling up about tomorrow's investor call. I ignored them, thumbing instead to the photo of Dad and me at my Yale graduation. His arms slung proud around my shoulders, oblivious to the secrets I'd hidden even from him. Gay in a world of straight lines and expectations, Hayes men didn't bend. They broke ground. A soft knock pulled me from the spiral. Matthew slipped in, closing the door with a click that sealed us in a bubble away from the ward's din. "Hey," he said, voice low, like we were sharing contraband. "How are you holding up?" Close. He was even more striking. Freckles dusting his nose like cinnamon, lashes thick enough to cast shadows, and a faded tattoo peeking from his scrub sleeve. A small pride flag in watercolor ink. I swallowed hard, the morphine making my tongue thick. Like I just got vivisected without anesthesia. He winced, pulling up a stool, elbows on knees as he leaned in. "Grant's an asshole. Been here 6 months. Stirring shit. HR's got complaints stacked like Jenga, but he's tenured, untouchable." His fingers drummed the bed rail, betraying the calm. What he said. "That's not medicine. That's hate." I searched his face, looking for the pity I'd braced for, but found only fire, quiet, banked, the kind that smolders before it roars. "You didn't call him out," I said, not accusing, just stating. Matthew's gaze dropped to his hands, calloused from years of holding lives together. "I should've. Freezing up like that, not my proudest." He met my eyes again, and something shifted, electric. "But I'm making it right. Starting with you." He stood, grabbing a notepad from the counter. "Samuel Hayes, right? Biotech Wunderkind. Saw your name on the chart. Impressive resume for a guy who rides Harleys like he's auditioning for Mad Max." A grin tugged his lips, disarming, and I couldn't help the bark of laughter that escaped, pulling at my stitches. We talked then, morphine loosening my tongue, the room shrinking to just us. He was Matthew Riley, 30, from a sleepy suburb outside Boston, transplanted to Seattle for the rain and the queers who didn't hide. Nursing school on scholarships, nights slinging drinks at a dive bar to pay tuition, coming out at 16 to parents who hugged him tighter instead of harder. "They flew out last Pride," he said, eyes lighting up. "Mom made these god-awful rainbow cookies. Tasted like regret and love." I envied that ease, the way he wore his truth like a second skin. My own coming out, a drunken confession to a college hookup who ghosted me by morning, followed by years of boardroom charm and bedroom solitude. "Dad thought I was married to the job," I admitted, voice cracking. "Never knew the half of it." Matthew listened, really listened, his hand finding mine in a squeeze that lingered. "Grief's a bitch. Huh? Hits different when it's family." His thumb traced my knuckles, absent but intentional, sending sparks up my arm. For the first time since the crash, the ache in my chest eased. Not gone, but shared. When his shift ended at dawn, he slipped me his number on a torn chart scrap. "Call if you need stitches. Or just coffee." The door clicked shut behind him, leaving the scent of antiseptic and sandalwood, and I clutched that scrap like a talisman, wondering if fate had a sense of humor after all. Discharge papers signed by noon, Elena's town car purring outside like a faithful steed. I slid into the leather seat, ribs throbbing with every pothole, but my mind raced ahead, to the penthouse overlooking Puget Sound, The stack of condolence cards from execs who'd never met Dad but smelled opportunity. And now, this nurse with eyes like summer storms. My phone lit up. Elena, confirming the afternoon meeting with the board. Hayes Biotech's future hung in the balance. FDA approvals for our CRISPR trials. Mergers whispering from Boston to the Bay Area. But as the skyline blurred past, all I could think was Grant's sneer, the way it had burrowed under my skin like shrapnel. Back home, the floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Olympics like a painting, gray skies threatening rain. I poured a scotch neat, Dad's way, and sank into the Eames chair by the fireplace, flame flickering low. The scrap burned a hole in my pocket. I texted Matthew before I could overthink it. Coffee? If you're not dead on your feet. His reply pinged back fast. Starbucks on Pike in 30? My treat, Heroes discount. A grin cracked my face. Unbidden. Hero. Yeah, right. But as I shrugged into a fresh button down, ignoring the mirror's reminder of bruises blooming purple across my torso, I felt something stir, hope, fragile as a first bloom after frost. Pike Place Market buzzed with tourists and fishmongers, the air thick with salt and espresso. Matthew waved from a corner table, 2 lattes steaming between paper cups, his off-duty jeans hugging legs that went on forever. Figured you'd need the caffeine hit, he said, sliding one over. We talked for hours, skipping the small stuff for the meaty. My fear of the board's whispers about succession stability. His burnout from 12-hour shifts and patients who saw him as the gay one first. It's exhausting, he confessed, stirring foam into oblivion. Like, heal the world, but only if you play straight. I nodded, the parallel hitting like a gut punch. Try running a company where one wrong glance could tank stock prices. Our knees brushed under the table, neither pulling away, the contact humming like live wire. By sunset, we'd wandered to the waterfront, shoulders bumping as gulls wheeled overhead. The ferry horn blared distant, a lonely call, and Matthew stopped, turning to me with that intensity again. What Grant did is not just words. It's poison. His hand cupped my elbow, grounding. You deserve better. We all do. The kiss happened then, soft at first, tentative, his lips tasting of vanilla and valor, then deepening as the world faded to salt spray and heartbeat. My hands found his waist, pulling him close, ribs be damned, and for a stolen moment under the Ferris wheel's glow, Seattle felt like home. But reality crashed back Monday morning, boardroom polished to a sheen in our Belltown tower. Elena briefed me on the agenda Q3 projections, R&D pivots, while I nursed black coffee and the ghost of Matthew's touch. Then, the email from HR, routine staff audit at Harborview, cross-referenced with our wellness partnerships. Grant's name popped up, linked to a donor plaque Dad had greenlit years back. Coincidence? Or the universe handing me a loaded gun? I forwarded it to legal with a single note. Dig. By lunch, reports flooded in harassment logs, settled suits, whispers from nurses too scared to speak. Matthew's name threaded through, anonymous complaints he'd filed and buried. I called him that evening, voice steady over the line. Dinner? My place. Got something to run by you. His laugh warmed the static. Fancy. Should I bring wine or my A game? Both, I thought, as I hung up, the plan coalescing like storm clouds over the sound. Revenge wasn't my style. Dad taught mercy over malice, but justice? That was American as apple pie, and I'd bake it sweet. The penthouse door swung open to the sizzle of seared scallops and the low jazz crooning from hidden speakers. Miles Davis. Dad's favorite for sealing deals. Matthew stepped in, bottle of Napa Cab in hand, his button-up rolled to elbows revealing that tattoo again. A quiet rebellion against the starch. Smells like sin, he said, eyes scanning the open plan space. Reclaimed wood beams, abstract art from Brooklyn galleries, the wall of windows framing twilights bruise over the water. I poured the wine, clinking glasses with a nod to the view. Sin's the goal tonight. We ate on the balcony, city lights winking like conspirators below. Conversation flowing easy from hospital horror stories to dreams deferred. His med school aspirations stalled by loans. My corner office that felt more cage than crown. As plates cleared, I broached it, casual as passing salt. Heard more about Grant. Seems he's got a history longer than my rap sheet. Matthew's fork paused midair. Guarded. Yeah, guy's a relic. Thinks do no harm stops at the closet door. I leaned back, swirling the dregs of red. Hayes funds half their trauma wing. One call, and poof, gone. His eyes sharpened, searching mine. You're not serious. Dead serious. I thought, the morphine Hayes long gone, replaced by a cold clarity. He outed me. In front of God and Grey's Anatomy. That's not slipping. That's sabotage. Matthew set his glass down. Slow. And firing him fixes what? The system's rotten. Sam. One head rolls. Two grow back. We argued then. Not yelling but probing. Words like fencers' thrusts. He paced the rug. Passionate justice through reform. Not revolution. I countered from the chair. Ribs aching reminder of vulnerability weaponized. Reform takes time. I shot back. I'm done waiting for permission to exist. His hand found my shoulder. Thumb pressing a knot I didn't know was there. This isn't just about you. Nurses like me, we get caught in the crossfire. The air thickened, charged, and when he knelt before me, face inches from mine, the fight dissolved into heat. Then fight with me, I whispered, and his mouth claimed mine. Fierce, forgiving, tongues mapping apologies neither voiced. We tumbled to the bedroom, a sprawl of Egyptian cotton and city glow, hands exploring like cartographers charting unclaimed land. His skin was warm under my palms, freckles a constellation I traced with lips, eliciting gasps that echoed my own. Matthew moved with a healer's grace, gentle where I bruised, insistent where I burned, whispering my name like a prayer as we shed layers of armor. Beautiful, he murmured against my collarbone, fingers lacing mine above our heads. And in that tangle of limbs and longing, I glimpsed what Dad never knew. Love not as transaction, but as tether. Afterward, sweat cooled and sated, we lay staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, his head on my chest, heartbeat sinking like a metronome. Tell me about him, Matthew said soft, tracing the scar from my stitches. Your dad. I hesitated, the wound fresh, but his touch coaxed it out. Stories of Irish lilt and late-night chess. The man who'd built empires but couldn't bridge the gap to his son's silence. He loved fiercely, I said, voice thick. Just wished he'd seen all of me. Matthew propped on elbow, green eyes solemn. He would have been proud. The man who rides Harleys and topples tyrants. Laughter bubbled, easing the grief, and we dozed like that, rain pattering the glass like applause. Morning brought boardroom Armageddon. Seattle's tech elite crammed the conference room, venture vamps in Zegna suits, eyeing me like fresh meat post-dad. I stood at the head, projection screen alive with charts, revenue spikes, patent filings, the CRISPR breakthrough that could rewrite genetic fate. Applause rippled as I rapped, but Elena's tablet pinged, a discreet nod my way. Legal's dossier on Grant, airtight. Audio from a whistleblower mic, emails laced with slurs, patient logs doctored to weed out undesirables. The cleared throat, pivoting seamless. One more item, our Harborview partnership. Effective immediately, we're auditing staff ethics. Non-compliance? Terminated. Murmurs stirred. Harborview was our pet project, Dad's legacy for underserved care. But I pressed on. Voice steal. A doctor there violated our code last week. Humiliated a patient me over orientation. That's not partnership. That's poison. Gasps rippled. Old man Hargrove from finance choked on his latte. Samuel. That's drastic. Drastic? I thought of Grant's sneer. Matthew's frozen fury. Necessary. We're Hayes. We heal, not harm. By meeting's end, calls were placed, HR scrambling, lawyers drafting. Harborview's CEO, a golf buddy of Dad's, rang my cell frantic. Sam, talk to me. Grant's a star surgeon. Was, I corrected, hanging up to Elena's raised brow. Boss move, she said, smirking. Dad would have approved. Word spread like wildfire through the med grapevine. By afternoon, my inbox overflowed. Thanks from queer orgs. Backlash from conservative donors threatening pullouts. Matthew texted mid-chaos. Heard the news. Bold as hell. Dinner to celebrate? I grinned. Thumbs flying. Your place. Bring the rainbow cookies. His laugh emoji flooded warmth through the fluorescence. But as I signed off on the termination order, Grant out. Effective EOD, a shadow crept. Betrayal's whisper. What if Matthew, with his reform zeal, saw me as the villain now? I shoved it down, focusing on the win, the first real one since Dad's dirt hit the casket. Matthew's apartment was a third-floor walk-up in Capitol Hill, posters of Frida Kahlo and ACT UP murals clashing with IKEA thrift. He greeted me in sweats, apron smeared tomato from homemade marinara, pulling me into a kiss that tasted like garlic and gratitude. Heard the details from the floor, he said over pasta, candlelight dancing in his eyes. You didn't just fire him, you exposed him. Nurses are buzzing. It's a ripple. Relief washed me, but I probed gentle. Ripple or tsunami? You warned me about crossfire. He reached across, squeezing. You listened to the heart of it. That's what matters. We made love again. Slower this time. Bodies learning rhythms. His moans a symphony against my neck. In the quiet after tangled sheets, he confessed dreams. Specializing in pediatric oncology. Fighting for kids like the ones he'd lost in his ER rotation. Want to make a difference. Not just patch wounds. I held him closer, inspired, the biotech gears turning. Hayes could fund that. Fellowships, grants, no strings. His head lifted, wary joy. You serious? Dead. By dawn, we'd sketched outlines over coffee. Matthew's vision meeting my resources, a bridge from grief to purpose. But as he dressed for shift, phone buzzing with updates, a text slipped through from an unknown. Careful who you trust. Hayes. Not all heroes wear scrubs. Anonymous, but the chill lingered, seed of doubt in Eden. Weeks blurred into a haze of mergers and midnight calls. Hayes stock ticked up on the Grant fallout. PR spun it gold, championing inclusive care. Donors circled back sheepish. Matthew and I carved stolen hours, hikes in Discovery Park, where ferns whispered secrets and his hand in mine felt like defiance. Brunches at Canlis, overlooking the sound as we planned the fellowship. He opened up more exes who'd bailed on commitment, the foster kid brother he'd raised post-parents crash, the tattoo inked after his first Pride March. "It's my armor," he said, tracing it. I shared scars too. The Yale hookup who sold tabloid fodder, the bored whispers about personal distractions. Vulnerability bonded us, deep as marrow. Then, the betrayal cracked like thunder. Elena burst into my office mid-November, face ashen, tablet thrust forward. Leaked emails, my emails, personal ones to Matthew about Dad's hidden letters. The closet's weight, splashed across a queer blog, Biotech Air's secret torment, lover or leaker, my stomach plummeted. The sender, a Hayes server trace, but routed through Harborview's VPN. Matthews. I dialed him, voicemail echoing hollow. "We need to talk. Now." Rain lashed the windows as I paced, heart hammering betrayal's dirge. Had the kiss been cover? The fellowship bait? When he finally called back, voice strained over sirens. "Sam, it's not. I cut him. Save it. We're done." The elevator ride to the lobby felt like descent into purgatory, mirrors mocking my rumpled suit and hollow eyes. Paparazzi swarmed the doors. Leaks breed vultures, and Elena bulldozed a path to the car, her arm linked fierce in mine. "Damage control's spinning," she murmured, but words blurred as Seattle's neon smeared past. Betrayal tasted like bile. Matthew's touch now tainted. Every whisper of "I love you" from last week a lie sharpened to shiv. Back in the penthouse, I poured bourbon straight from the bottle, the burn no match for the void. Dad's chess set stared from the shelf. Ebony King toppled mid-game, fitting metaphor for the empire cracking under my watch. Calls flooded, bored fury over distractions, donors citing reputational risk, a Times op-ed decrying my witch hunt on Grant as queer overreach. I ignored them, holing up with legal's forensic dive. The emails? Mirrored from my cloud to a dummy account tied to Matthew's staff ID. IP logs timestamped during his shifts. Content cherry-picked for maximum gut punch. My confessions of isolation. Fears of coming out publicly post-dad. But why? The fellowship pitch we'd emailed back and forth. Or something darker. A follow-up leak hit at midnight. Audio clip. My voice slurring to him after a gala. "You're the only real thing I've got." Monetized clicks. The blog crowing, inside the closet of Samuel Hayes. Dawn broke gray. Coffee cold as I suited up for crisis mode. Elena convened the war room, PR wizards. Crisis council. Her unflappable calm the anchor. Narrative. Targeted extortion. She outlined. Whiteboards filling with timelines. Suspects a disgruntled ex-staffer. Point to Grant's allies. Viable. But my gut screamed Matthew. His reform talk a Trojan horse for revenge on the rich white savior firing his mentor. I greenlit the counter-leak. Anonymous tips to allies in media. Hayes as victim, not villain. By noon, counter-narratives trended. Stand with Samuel. Queer icons amplifying. Even a senator from California's tweetstorm on corporate homophobia. But the personal toll gnawed relentless. I ghosted Matthew's texts. "Please," as a setup, deleting voicemails unread. Work became salvation. Greenlighting the fellowship under neutral branding, pouring millions into inclusive care without his name attached. Board meetings blurred into late nights. Projections dissected like cadavers. My resolve hardening to granite. Yet solitude amplified echoes. Dad's voice in dreams. "Fight smart, son," and Matthew's laugh haunting the empty balcony. One night, bourbon-fueled, I unearthed Dad's letters from the safe. Yellowed envelopes, his scrawl admitting regrets. A hidden draft of his will naming me sole heir, because you're stronger than you know. Tears came then, hot and unbidden, the kind that carve canyons. A week in, the confrontation brewed inevitable. My doorman buzzed. "Mr. Riley here, sir. Says it's urgent." Heart lurching, I descended to the lobby, finding him drenched from downpour, eyes red-rimmed under the porte-cochere. "Sam, don't," I snapped, arms crossed like barricade. Security hovered discreet, but I waved them off. This was mine. "The leak." "Explain." He thrust a USB drive, hands shaking. "Planted. Grant's protege, nurse I reported for skimming meds. He hacked my login during overlap shift. Framed me to discredit you. Payback for the firing." Rain dripped from his hair, voice cracking. I found the logs. Confronted him, he confessed. Bolted. Cops have the statement. Skepticism warred with longing. His face a map of exhaustion I knew too well. "Why should I believe you?" He stepped closer, scent of wet wool and truth. "Because I love you, idiot. And I'd never." The kiss cut him off. Desperate, my hands fisting his shirt as doubt fractured under need. Upstairs, we pored over the drive. Timestamps aligning, chat logs with the rogue nurse plotting, make the golden boy bleed. Matthew's anonymous tip to IA had flagged the guy months back. Hero again, unasked. Relief crashed, but trust's fracture lingered, jagged. "I pushed you away," I admitted, forehead to his. "Thought you saw me as the monster." He cupped my face, thumb brushing lip. "You're the man who fights." That's why I fell. Reconciliation unfolded slow. Deliberate therapy sessions I dragged him to. Joint, unpacking closets and collisions. Date nights reclaiming normalcy. Picnics in Green Lake where ducks begged crumbs and we bared souls sand screens. The rogue nurse turned himself in. Plea deal sealing the leaks as vendetta, not romance's ruin. Media pivoted, Hayes Air vindicated. My coming out op-ed in The Stranger going viral. From closet to C-suite. Why silence costs more than stocks. Pride swelled. Not just personal donations surged to the fellowship. Now Riley Hayes Initiative. Matthew heading it part-time. His oncology dreams funded. Christmas loomed. Seattle blanketed in rare snow. The city a hush of white. I flew his brother out, teen now, gangly with Matthew's grin. Hosting a tree trimming in the penthouse. Lights twinkling like promises. Dad's chess set graced the mantle. Game resumed. Matthew pondering my night with mock gravity. "Check," he declared, but I countered, capturing queen. "Mate," laughter rang, warm, and as we collapsed amid wrapping paper, his head on my lap, I whispered, "Stay." "For real." He looked up, I soft. "Thought you'd never ask." But drama's shadow lingered. Bicoastal. Boston beckoned, Hargrove pushing a merger with a legacy pharma giant. Whispers of acquisition to stabilize post-scandal. Board pressure mounted. "Marry the mission, Sam. Seal it with tradition." Tradition meant hetero optics. A lavender marriage Elena shot down fierce. "You're the face now. Own it." I did, announcing the engagement not to a beard, but to truth at the holiday gala. Arm linked with Matthew's in a tailored Tom Ford, his nerves masked by that jaw-clench smile. Cameras flashed, questions lobbed gentle. "Partner in life and labs?" We nodded, synced, the room erupting in cheers that drowned old ghosts. New Year dawned crisp, resolutions etched in frost. We rang it in on the balcony, champagne flutes clinking as fireworks bloomed over the Space Needle. To us, Matthew toasted, and the messes we make better. His kiss sealed it, deep, the kind that promises forever amid uncertainty. But as confetti rained, my phone vibrated, Elena's alert. Insider leak, merger docs hinting sabotage, fingerprints tracing to Grant, out on appeal, lawyered by Hargrove's firm. Betrayal's sequel, round 2. Pocketed it, pulling Matthew closer. Tomorrow's fight, I murmured. He nodded, fierce. Together, spring thawed the chill, cherry blossoms rioting pink along the waterfront. The fellowship launched to fanfare. First cohort of queer med students. Matthew keynoting with a speech that gutted me. Healing starts when we see each other whole. I watched from wings, pride swelling throat tight, our eyes locking mid-applause, private vow in public glare. Dates wove domestic, cooking fails in my kitchen, his marinara trumping my takeout, road trips to the San Juans, Harley rumbling under us, wind erasing worries. Intimacy deepened, nights where touches spoke volumes, his body a language I fluent in, mornings tangled, coffee brewing to birdsong from the aviary below. Yet conflict brewed subterranean. Grant's appeal gained traction, media dredging old wounds, painting me the petulant prince. Hargrove cornered me post-board. Drop the suit, Sam. Family firms fold on grudges. Family? The man who'd golfed with Dad while eyeing my seat. This isn't grudge, I retorted. It's accountability. Matthew sensed the strain, countering with therapy homework, letters to Dad, unread aloud, purging the unspoken. He'd want you whole, he said, reading mine over tears, apologies for hiding, gratitude for the grit. His own, to lost patience, vows to fight fiercer. We burned them in the fireplace, ashes swirling like release. Climax crested Memorial Day weekend, a biotech summit in San Francisco, merger talks peaking, Grant's camp crashing the gala with oppressor, whistleblowers silenced by wealth, accusations flew, tampering, intimidation, my name vilified in real-time tweets. Backstage, panic clawed, Elena's war room spun denials, but Matthew pulled me aside. I steal. Confront it. Head on. Heart pounding. I strode the podium unscripted, spotlight hot as judgment. I've been humbled by loss, by love, by hate that hides in plain sight. Pauses landed heavy. Room wrapped. Dr. Grant's actions weren't medicine. They were malice. But firing him? That was mercy's prelude. We're building better fellowships for the marginalized. Care without closets. Applause built slow, then thunderous. Matthew's proud gaze from the crowd my North Star. Hargrove slunk post-speech. Merger offer sweetened but strings cut. You're playing big. Kid. No more. I signed a counter-partnership, not purchase, preserving Hayes' soul. Grant's appeal crumbled next day. Evidence mounting perjury. He resigned, slinking to private practice in flyover nowhere. Victory tasted bittersweet. Champagne flat without Dad's toast. Summer scorched Seattle's usual drizzle into rare heat waves, the sound a shimmering tease from my balcony. Matthew and I escaped to the cabin Dad bought in the 90s. Log walls on Hood Canal, dock creaking under our weight as we fished for salmon, beers sweating in coolers. This is living, he said, line casting lazy arcs, his tank top clinging to sun-kissed skin. I reeled him in instead, literally, tugging till he toppled laughing into my lap. Rod forgotten. Slippery one, I teased, kissing salt from his neck, the water lapping rhythmic below. Those days blurred idle. Bonfires crackling tales of youth, his Boston blizzards building forts, my Irish summers dodging rain in Dublin visits, skinny dips at midnight, stars pricking the black, bodies buoyant in cool embrace. Back in the city, romance rooted deeper. We adopted a rescue mutt, scruffy terrier mix named Finn, after Dad's middle name, his yips filling the penthouse with chaos and joy. Walks in Volunteer Park became ritual, leashes tangling as we dodged joggers, Matthew's hand swinging mine open, unashamed. Proud of you, he murmured one dusk. Benches under cedars, Finn gnawing a stick. The op-ed, the gala owning it all. Pride, chafed still. Old habits whispering caution at shareholder eyes. But his belief-sanded edges smooth. We hosted dinners too, Elena and her wife. Fellowship meant swapping war stories. Laughter echoing off beams. A chosen family stitching my frayed one. Yet undercurrents stirred. The Riley Hayes initiative boomed. Grants to 20 clinics nationwide. Matthew jetting to ribbon cuttings in Austin. Philly, his absence carving hollows. Miss you, I text midnights. Finn curled at my feet. Replies pinging from hotel bars. Miss you more. Home soon. Chief. Trust rebuilt. But doubt's scar itched. Leaks had taught vigilance. And whispers reached Elena. Rival firm poaching talent. Eyes on our CRISPR IP. Board paranoia peaked. Audits invasive. My schedule a straitjacket. They're testing you, she warned over lunch at Elliot's Oyster House. Bivalves gleaming like pearls of wisdom. Post-merger jitters. Prove your iron. I did. Diving into R&D late labs in our South Lake Union hub. White coats buzzing with data. My oversight hands-on. One evening, touring the gene editing suite. Postdoc, bright kid from MIT. Non-binary pronouns, approached hesitant. Mr. Hayes, the fellowship. Saved me. Came out last year. Got blackballed. Your story gave me guts. Their hug lingered. Fierce. And I choked up. Matthew's influence echoing in every breakthrough. He flew back that weekend, scooping me from the tarmac. Duffel slung over shoulder. Heard about the postdoc, he said in the car. Hand on thigh. We're changing shit. Dinner devolved to dessert early. Finn banished to kitchen. Our bedroom a whirlwind of reunion. His body arching under mine. Gasps sinking to rain resuming on pains. Fall foliage ignited the cascades. Golds and crimsons framing drives where we debated futures. His med school apps submitted. Dreams of oncology residency. My expansion pitches. Eyeing a satellite lab in Boston for his roots. Family proximity, he joked, but eyes earnest. Brothers college hunting, could use big bro nearby, tempting, the pull of compromise. But Hayes anchored Seattle, Dad's ghost in every cornerstone. We'll figure it, I promised, pulling over at a viewpoint, kissing away worries amid maple drifts. Intimacy evolved 2 explorations tender, toys from a discreet Ballard shop adding sparks, his trust in my lead a gift. Safe with you, he'd breathe post-climax, curled small, vulnerability my honor to hold. Conflict reignited November, anniversary of the crash, ghosts rising unbidden. I woke sweating, nightmare replay, Grant's sneer morphing to Matthew's face, leaks as knives. He soothed with tea and talk, but tension simmered. Then, the call, Hargrove, retired but meddling, tipping merger intel, Boston Pharma circling again, this time with leverage, FDA whispers of trial delays, anonymous sources citing internal distractions. Distractions? Code for us. My queerness the chink in armor. Board summoned emergency session, suits circling like sharks. Stabilize image, Hargrove urged via video, jowls quivering. Public commitment traditional. Investors eat that up. Matthew, looped in post-meet, paced furious. They're dinosaurs. Fight it. I did, but fractures showed. Elena uncovered the source. A junior exec, Hargrove's nephew, funneling docs to rivals for kickbacks. Termination swift, but damage lingered. Stock dipped 3%. Headlines sniffing haze turmoil. Matthew's response? Op-ed co-bylined. Love in the lab. Why biotech needs hearts, not just heads. It went nuclear endorsements from GLAAD. TED Talk invites reframing us as pioneers. Gratitude swelled, but pressure mounted. His med school acceptance to Johns Hopkins, Baltimore-bound, clashing my Seattle tether. Long-distance trial? He proposed over wine. I's hopeful. 6 months. See if we bend or break. Bend we tried, holidays split. Christmas Boston with his clan, mom's cookies improved. Marginally. New Year's solo in the penthouse. Finn's head my confessor. Visits stitched the gap. Him flying west weekends. Me east for lectures. Mile-high clubs and hotel haunts keeping flame-fed. But distance distilled doubts. Texts misread as curt. Calls cut by shifts. One February night. Post-argument over FaceTime. His complaint. You're married to the board. I snapped. Maybe we are breaking. Silence stretched. His face pixelated pain. Don't. Please. We patched. But seed sown. Spring brought bloom and bust. Fellowship gala at the Museum of Flight, vintage planes overhead. Donors toasting toasts. Matthew emceeing flawless. His suit sharp as wit. I watched. Heart full. Proposing mid-speech interruption. Ring box popped casual. Marry me? Make this official. Distances be damned. Gasps. Cheers. His yes tear-choked. Kiss ceiling amid applause. Headlines glowed. Biotech power couple ties not. But whispers followed. Hopkins deferral rumors. His career yielding to mine. Guilt gnawed. Unspoken. Wedding planning wove whimsy. Venue a vineyard in Walla Walla. Vows handwritten humanist. No gods but us. Bachelor party. Low-key. Elena's speakeasy crawl. Matthew's crew from nursing school roasting gentle. But eve of anxiety crested, Hargrove's final jab. Leaked memo questioning stability post-nup. I confessed to Matthew dawnlit. Sheets tangled. They see us as risk. He traced my jaw. Fierce. Then will be the reward. Ceremony unfolded magic. Under arbors heavy with grapes. His brother ring-bearer. Elena officiant with sass. Vows exchanged. In shadows and spotlights. I choose you. Rings simple platinum. Engraved together. Reception danced till stars wheeled. First dance to Coltrane. His head on my shoulder. World reduced to heartbeat. Honeymoon in Maui blurred paradise. Black sand beaches. Hikes to waterfalls where we made love under cascades. Salt and fresh mingling. Forever starts now, he whispered. Waves crashing chorus. Back stateside. Bliss buffered storms. House hunt in Madrona. Victorian fixer with garden for Finn. Life domestic dreaming. But autumn winds carried warning. Hopkins acceptance undeferred. Residency slot golden. Go, I urged, masking ache. I'll commute. Lies we told ourselves. Distance doubling down. Climax brewed Thanksgiving. Family mashup. His Boston flight canceled storms. Mine grounded Seattle. Alone with Finn. Turkey for two. A cracked. Calling drunk. Voicemails spilling fears. What if we're not enough? The empire. The dreams. Crushing us. He arrived midnight. Rental car iced. Pulling me from pity party. We're enough, he insisted. Hands framing face. But we adapt or break. Words hung. Raw. The betrayal echo faint but there. Trust's fragility. Love's labor. Winter gripped Seattle like a grudge. Evergreens bowed under sleet. The city a monochrome mood. Matthew's residency loomed June. Baltimore's siren call clashing our vows fresh ink. Commutes tested. Me jetting east bi-weekly. Red ice blurring into board briefs. Him prepping lectures. Scrubs swapped for bow ties. Fights flickered. Missed calls. Exhaustion's edge. But makeup sex mended. Fierce and forgiving. Bodies reaffirming what words fumbled. Finn sensed the strain. Shadowing us like worry incarnate. His whines pleas for pack intact. Therapy resumed. Joint sessions unpacking ambition's toll. Love bends. Doesn't break. Our counselors refrain. But bends bowed us weary. Hayes thrived amid tumult. CRISPR trials phase 3 greenlit. Stock soaring on headlines of our resilient union. Donors flocked renewed. The Riley Hayes initiative expanding to rural clinics. Matthew's virtual rounds bridging miles. Yet personal cracks widened. His late nights studying. My mergers swallowing weekends. Anniversaries reduced to video toasts. One March blizzard trapped him east. Me west. Texts terse. Stuck. Again. Reply, priorities. Regret instant. But pride stalled apology. Elena intervened. Coffee ambush. Fight for him, not the firm. Dad built this, you live it. Truth stung. Catalyzing change. Sabbatical pitched board. 6 months Baltimore-based. Remote oversight via Elena's iron fist. Relocation unpacked revelations. We rented a row house in Fells Point. Cobble streets. Harbor views, Finn romping parks. Our routines resensing. Shared runs at dawn. His scrubs ironed beside my suits. Dinners debating cases over crab cakes. Med school immersed him, rounds electric. His passion palpable while I consulted virtually. Hayes engines purring sans my daily grind. Date nights reclaimed romance. Orioles games. Heckling from bleachers. Jazz dens where his hand in mine drew no stairs. Baltimore's queer pulse welcoming. Intimacy reignited, lazy Sundays tangled. Explorations deepening trust. His submission a dance of power yielded sweet. But conflict's embers flared spring. Grant resurfaced. Book deal announced. Memoir framing himself martyr to woke excess. My firing chapter 1. Pre-pub excerpts leaked. Fabrications twisting my outing to seduction ploy. Matthew painted complicit. Backlash brewed boycotts called. Fellowship defunded threats from conservative PACs. I lawyered up. Countersuit drafting. But Matthew urged grace. Don't descend. Rise. Rise. Rage boiled. Old wounds ripped. Gala after-party. Donors pressing. I snapped to a reporter. Some scars don't fade. Headline next morn. Hayes' husband feuds anew. Union on rocks? Tabloid fodder. Our row house inbox flooded hate. Slurs scrawled on walks. Crisis peaked May. His white coat ceremony eve. Rehearsal dinner with his folks, warm Irish stew. Toasts teary, I fielded calls. Bored panic over stock dip. Elena's damage control frantic. Stepping out for air. Hargrove cornered via proxy. His nephew, risen phoenix. Offering truce. Drop suit. Endorse Grant's narrative. In exchange for merger opt-out. Family business, he sneered. Family? I laughed bitter, hanging up to Matthew's worried brow. What's eating you? Confession spilled. The toll, the temptation to fold for peace. He pulled me close, harbor lights dancing. We're the peace. Don't let them win. Ceremony dawned triumphant. Him in crisp white, stethoscope gleaming, my seat front row beaming pride. Post-vows to medicine. Now! Reception swelled joy, but anonymous envelopes slipped under wiper. Photos, us at the cabin, intimate angles, paparazzi pry or sabotage. Panic crested, calling Elena mid-toast. Leak imminent, she confirmed, blogs buzzing. I rallied, podium commandeered. Tonight, we celebrate healing. But know this, threats won't silence us. Love's our loudest roar. Applause thundered. Matthew's grip anchor. The photos traced to Grant's camp. Final nail. His book deal tanked. Suit settled out of court with gag and grovel. Summer solstice marked pivot. Baltimore's charm hooked me. Crab boils with med cohorts. His world vivid, but Seattle tugged. Hayes humming Elena's tune. We compromised. Split custody. Row house kept. Penthouse home base. Rotations like co-parents to our life. Residency ramped his hours. But stolen moments sustained. Airport reunions. Hands frantic in cabs. Letters old school. His scrawl professing, "You're my constant." Finn shuttled too. A furry diplomat easing transitions. Betrayal's ghost, exorcised in therapy's fire. Trust tempered to alloy unbreakable. Fall harvest brought harvest of heart. Wedding anniversary vineyard return. Walla Walla golds unchanged. We renewed under arbors. Rings kissed. Vows evolved. Through distances and doubts. I choose us. Night fell star-strewn. Lovemaking slow sacrament. His body map I memorized anew. Back east. He aced boards. Oncology slot secured at Hopkins. West. I launched diversity mandate. Board diverse as our dreams. Holidays harmonized. Boston for his. Seattle for mine. Blended table. Finn underfoot. Toasts bridging oceans. Climax crested Yule. Snow-dusted sound. Dad's birthday. Would have been 68. I hosted memorial. Execs and allies mingling. Matthew flying in surprise. Tree aglow. Chess set mid-game. His night cornered mine. I unveiled the surprise. Plaque dedication. Harborview's trauma wing renamed. Hayes Riley Center for Equitable Care. Gasps. Tears. His hand squeezed mine. Voice husky. You did this. For us. For the boy in the ER. For Dad's unspoken grace. Grant's shadow? Faded footnote. His practice shuttered scandal. Resolution ripened humanistic. No tidy bow but growth's tangle. We bought a cabin hybrid hood canal base. Baltimore Pida Terra, roots twining coasts. Matthew's fellowship mentored a new gen. My lab's birth therapies healing hidden hurts. Conflicts came, merger skirmishes, residency burnout, but we faced them tandem, betrayal's backstory fortifying. One dawn, waves lapping dock, fins splashing shallows. He turned to me, coffee mug steaming. Worth every bend. I pulled him close, kiss ceiling. Every break mended stronger, years folded forward. his attending robes at Hopkins, our first foster placement, a scared teen echoing our youths, Hayes Global, inclusive ethos etched. Dad's letters? Framed bedside, reminders of legacies loved loud. In quiet moments, Harley rumbles, his arms wrapped tight. I knew, love's not absence of storm, but sailing through, humanistic heart steering true. The doctor who'd humiliated, distant echo, fired not just staff, but fear's grip. We rose, romantic rebels in America's vast canvas, painting our truth bold.